Hey there, fellow listeners. Welcome back to Red Hunt, where I uncover and share the juiciest relationship stories from Reddit. I'm your host, Red, and today we've got a thrilling lineup that'll leave you on the edge of your seat. So be sure to stay tuned and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more captivating tales. I want to propose to my GF of 4 years, but I'm second guessing. We've had our ups and downs. We lived together for a year until I moved into campus for college, and she moved back in with her mom. Overall, we've had a great relationship and both wish we could still live together. The topic of marriage has come up from both our families and ourselves. We've talked about it and both want it. She's a little hesitant, which initially worried me, but upon further conversation, I realized it was just nerves about taking such a big step. I'm not sure if this means she wants me to propose but is nervous, or if it's her way of saying no. Either way, there's a time constraint because I'll be leaving for the military in less than 2 years after graduating. This is the last year I'll have a free summer, so it would be ideal to have a nice wedding and honeymoon before I'm away for training, and potentially stationed out of the country. If we don't get married within the next 2 years, there's a high chance we'll be separated, even after my training. Unmarried military couples can't live together when stationed overseas. Personally, I feel like marriage is the right step for me because she is my everything, and I can't imagine life without her. I'm an introvert, and after high school, I went through a rough time when my best friend betrayed me and many of our mutual friends turned their backs on me. It led to depression, and during that period I relied heavily on my girlfriend, more than she probably knows. Even today I still have moments of relapse, but things usually aren't as bad when I'm with her. Trusting people and making friends has become extremely difficult for me because of what happened. It feels like I've built a wall around myself, and it's hard to believe others when they talk to me. I often feel like they're lying or trying to push me away. As a result, I have very few friends, and none I feel comfortable sharing everything with. I share this with you to provide some insight into my mental and emotional state, and to highlight how crucial she is in my life. Recently, I returned from a month-long training exercise. I missed her while I was away, and was excited to see her upon my return. We spent the night together, but the next day I asked if she wanted to spend another night, and she declined, saying she had made plans to play video games with her friends. This bothered me because I had been gone for so long and wanted to spend time with her. It felt like she prioritized her friends and their gaming sessions over me, despite not having seen me for a month. Throughout the week, we didn't see each other much, and she didn't initiate making plans for the weekend. I had to ask her, and we spent the night together. But when I asked again about spending the night, she said she wanted to drink and play with her friends. This really angered me. First, she never used to drink until her trip earlier this month. Second, despite discussing her gaming sessions on weekends, which meant I couldn't spend the night, she still made these plans. I feel ignored, and when I expressed my feelings to her, she apologized without saying much else. She acted as if nothing happened. Weekends are the only time I can spend with her, and it's frustrating because she plays games with her friends every night. I have a 4-day training event next weekend and won't be back until Monday. I wanted to propose on her birthday, which is a special day for us. I even have the ring already. But after what happened, I'm reconsidering proposing. I know it may seem like I'm being unreasonable, and perhaps I am. I'm not expecting to be in the right here, but I can't help but feel like I'm being placed second. She's the only person I have, and I never expected her to prioritize me so low. It hurts me and makes me worried that she's losing interest in me. I apologize for the lengthy read, but I don't have anyone else to share my thoughts with, so I turned to Reddit. I hope I don't come across as controlling because I genuinely don't want to control anything. I encourage her to spend time with her friends and travel to meet them because I don't want to be controlling, but this is just how I feel. It sounds like you and your girlfriend have a strong foundation and have been through a lot together. It's understandable that you're feeling anxious about proposing, especially given your upcoming military service and the potential for separation. The recent events with her prioritizing her friends over spending time with you have left you feeling hurt and questioning the relationship. It's important to have open and honest communication with her about your feelings and concerns before making any decisions about proposing. I am not comfortable with how close my wife is getting to my brother. I could use some help here. Let me go back a few months and explain the situation. My brother recently visited my wife and me. While we don't have a very close relationship, we keep in touch and have a good relationship. He attended our wedding, and this visit was a chance for us to spend time together. One evening, my brother, wife, and I went out to some bars. My brother is quite social and enjoys getting close to people, especially girls, and flirting with them. During the night, I noticed a few instances where my wife and him seemed to have a closer interaction than necessary. For example, their hands were touching on the table. I didn't address it at the time and didn't dwell on it. In a later outing, or possibly the same night, I can't remember exactly, we all sat together at a bar. My wife sat in the middle, and I noticed their legs were touching each other. After returning home, I spoke to my wife about it, expressing that while I didn't suspect any wrongdoing, she should be aware that getting too close to other guys, even my brother, can give off the wrong impression. I suggested that she should create some distance in those situations. However, she became defensive and argued that there was nothing wrong with her legs touching other guys' legs if she didn't have any inappropriate thoughts. This made me upset, as I believed her actions could still give off the wrong signals, regardless of her intentions. Fast forward to today, when we're hanging out again with my brother and our family. I briefly left the room for a moment, and when I returned, I noticed my wife and my brother sitting next to each other at the kids' table, along with our kids and a couple of others. Their thighs were pressed against each other, and my brother's leg was slightly overlapping my wife's. Surprised and concerned, I asked my wife, "What are you doing?" Immediately, she moved her leg away. My brother got up and walked away. I asked her again about the situation, and she insisted that there was nothing wrong with their legs touching like that. This led to an argument between us. Now, I find myself questioning if I'm overreacting or being unreasonable. Is it just jealousy and paranoia on my part, or am I correct in feeling uncomfortable about this situation? Our relationship has been strained lately, and I am considering couples therapy to address our issues. However, if my wife genuinely believes that her behavior is acceptable, I am seriously questioning if our relationship is worth saving. I am open to admitting fault and working on myself if I am in the wrong here. It sounds like a tough situation. While it's important to communicate your concerns and establish boundaries with your wife, it's also worth having an open conversation with your brother to understand his perspective. Going to couples therapy is a great idea to work through the rocky patches in your relationship and find a solution that works for both of you. Ultimately, trust and understanding are essential in any relationship, so it's important to address these issues before making any rash decisions. How do I break up with my GF? Hello, me, 19-year-old female, and my girlfriend, also 19-year-old female, have been together for over a year now, but I've been wanting to break up for a while now. There's not anything wrong in terms of my girlfriend. She is a saint and is so kind, patient, and loving. Yet, for some reason, I'm still not fully comfortable with the relationship. I've realized that there are a lot of things that I need to work out with myself. I was and still am severely emotionally repressed and had never been in a relationship before. In fact, I was completely content with that because I knew that it probably wouldn't end well or be very healthy. But then my girlfriend asked me out, and I really enjoyed our friendship, so I said yes. I thought that maybe I could just learn to be in a relationship. However, a year has gone by, and I've come to realize that no matter how much I try, it's not working for me. And the worst part of it all is how forgiving my girlfriend always is when I mess up. This is not something she should be putting up with at all in a relationship. When I say mess up, I mean in terms of being horribly avoidant of our relationship. I tend to run from things that involve me actually confronting my feelings. So, as you can imagine, I'm definitely not someone who should be in a relationship, right? I can't prolong this anymore. It's not at all fair to her. I'm sure you're thinking, why hasn't she dumped me yet? And truly, I wish I knew, because if it was me, I would have long dumped someone like this. But what I do know is that her love for me is very deep. It's in the way that she tells me I love you often whenever we hang out, or the way that she embraces me and all the heartfelt texts and paragraphs she's sent, along with all the gifts, including our recent anniversary gift, which was a book compiled of all her love and favorite things about me and us. Don't get me wrong, it's not like I don't care about her too. It's just that this relationship is clearly not working out or particularly healthy. Her reliance on this relationship is a lot more than mine, and she has been mistreated quite a lot in past friendships, etc., which is why I've been hesitant with doing this. They say love is blind, and I believe that is the case here. She is unable to see that she deserves so much better. The last time we hung out, I attempted to break up with her. I said something along the lines of, "We need to talk," with a very serious air, and already with those words, I could tell she was about to burst into tears. So I chickened out and deflected with something else. I can tell that if I were to do this, it would break her. And the thing about it is, I would really love to stay friends because we're so compatible above all else. But I think that might be a selfish request. Anyways, I apologize for my rambling in this, but the gist of it is I need some advice on how to go about this. Hey there, it sounds like you're in a tough situation. Breaking up is never easy, especially when you care about the other person. It's great that you recognize there are personal issues you need to work on and that the relationship isn't working for you. It's important to have an honest and open conversation with your girlfriend, expressing your feelings and concerns, and make it clear that you want to end the romantic aspect of the relationship but still value her as a friend. Communication is key, and showing understanding and empathy towards her emotions can help navigate this difficult conversation. Good luck! My ex-boyfriend broke up with me and now he wants me back. My ex-boyfriend broke up with me and now he wants to get back together. I apologize for the length of this post, and I appreciate anyone who takes the time to read it. Our relationship lasted for about 5 years, and in the last 3 years, things started to decline. However, I held on to the idea of how it was in the beginning and refused to end the relationship. By the relationship was declining, I mean that we couldn't argue about anything without him responding with, "Don't piss me off." I also had to practically beg him to spend time with me because he always seemed to prefer other plans or playing video games. He often ignored or dismissed me, even leaving gifts unopened for months. He mentioned that I was dependent on him due to my lack of friends, while he was very sociable and cheerful. He said I brought negativity into his life. He also expressed concerns about going through my college life again, since I started a second career and live away from home. Although I offered to live together, he rejected the idea of a married life. Towards the end, he started ignoring me for several days at a time. In June of last year, he broke up with me through WhatsApp. I had been seeing a psychologist for 6 months, who repeatedly told me that the relationship was going nowhere. However, I couldn't bring myself to end it. We met to discuss things after the breakup, and he was clear about his decision. I didn't insist because I knew deep down it was the right thing to do. Over the summer, he started talking to me more and more, expressing regret for his past behavior and acknowledging that he made a mistake. He wants a second chance. We have been talking and meeting up since then, and he is now attentive and interested, something he wasn't while we were together. The problem is that I have managed to distance myself from him after the breakup, and it's difficult for me to act like nothing happened. He is very insistent and constantly emphasizes his change and improved understanding of the situation. I feel good being alone, but I don't think it's wrong to consider getting back together if I know when to stop accepting unacceptable behavior and end the relationship if needed. I am now capable of doing so. I'm in a confusing situation because I don't want to hurt him, and I'm still debating whether or not to give him a second chance. Have any of you been in a similar situation? How did you handle it? And does it make sense to give him another chance? Thank you. Wow, that sounds like a really tough situation. It's understandable that you have mixed feelings about getting back together with your ex, especially considering how the relationship was declining before. It's great that he has recognized his past behavior and wants to change, but ultimately it's up to you to decide if you believe he can truly make a positive difference in your life. Trust your instincts and take your time in making a decision. Prioritize your own happiness and well-being above all. Good luck! Is money the issue, or am I just unhappy with our relationship? So I've posted here before about my 23-year-old boyfriend, who hasn't been able to get a job since we moved into our new house last August. It's on my profile if you want to read. We recently graduated from college this past December. There is a really good chance he did not actually graduate, and he refuses to find out. He failed one class too many and was told if he failed another one, he would get kicked out of the major and not graduate. He's just gonna wait another 2 weeks to see if his diploma comes in the mail. He still hasn't found a job. I plan on getting my master's in a different state come July 2024. He has no clue what he's doing now or later. There are multiple reasons why I haven't been happy in our relationship. We spend our time differently. I want to believe money isn't the root of it all. But it's hard when I like to go out on dates to eat and drink, and he says he doesn't want to because he has no money or simply because he doesn't want to leave the house. I was talking to him recently. Just for context, we live in the same house but different bedrooms. And he says he doesn't hold it against me the times he has paid for my meals, drinks, his car gas, or bus tickets to go see him. These times he's speaking of were all around 2 years when we first started seeing each other and he had money from college refunds to spend. I honestly have never heard him say this. I never even really thought of it like that. I thought he was just treating me to drinks and meals because, well, he was my boyfriend, and it was the early stages of our relationship where he did anything to be kind. When I first moved in with him in August 2022, I was using my food stamps to cover all our meals. He had almost no expendable income. There was a 3-month period where anytime we'd go out, I'd cover everything for him. It was kind of the only way to get him to come out and spend time with our other roommates and friends. I personally first became really frustrated with his lack of expendable income when he asked me to pay for his rent 1 month. It tipped me over the edge because I was already struggling to keep myself afloat as an undergraduate student working a minimum wage job. I also had college refunds but would usually be irresponsible and spend it on anything. I decided this year I'd stop asking him if he was applying for jobs or not because I wanted to see where he was able to get himself. I now have a well-paying job and no longer use food stamps. He still has no income and sits in his room all day. I cut him off of my groceries, and he has been using his stepdad's credit card to order food to the house. Am I just looking for excuses to get rid of him? I don't like how unmotivated he is or how long he spends playing video games. I don't like how he never takes me out and never goes out with me. I don't like how much of a bum he is, but I find myself constantly getting upset about the fact that he just doesn't work. Not for me and not for himself. He is just lazy. He also mentioned that he would have been able to pay rent on time this month if he hadn't spent so much on me this past Christmas break. He used graduation money to pay for rent this month. I also ended up covering most of my own thing over Christmas break, so I'm not sure if he is just guilt-tripping me or if he's actually right about that. He got me bookmarks, a magnet, and a board game for Christmas. We spent most of Christmas break with our families, and our families paid for most of our meals because they were able and willing to. I wanted nothing more than to visit the beach, and he never took me because he never wanted to. Please be honest if I'm being ridiculous about it, but I was so upset thinking about after Christmas break. Mainly the beach part. I asked a few times and didn't make a big deal out of it, but it's the one time a year we're both able to since we don't live near a beach but our families do. I feel like I always talk about wanting to go too. It just kind of broke my heart he wasn't willing to do my favorite things with me. I had to bribe him to take me to my favorite restaurant in town. It's nothing fancy, just good authentic Korean food that I ended up paying for. I also paid for our 2-year anniversary dinner in full because he said he didn't want to do anything because he had no money. It sounds like you're really frustrated with your boyfriend's lack of motivation and financial dependence on you. It's understandable that you want to go out on dates and have a more equal contribution in the relationship. It's worth having a serious conversation with him about your concerns and see if you can find a solution together. My childhood friend is marrying my abusive ex and has a kid with him. How do I deal with this? I'm honestly struggling with where to start with this one. Names changed obviously. I was with Dave, ex, for over 6 years. I didn't realize how abusive he was until I was out of it. I thought it was normal to be called a stupid bitch when the housework wasn't done. To come home and be called a dumb CNT for asking him to help me tidy the house. It was just the way life was. I excused all of his verbal and sexual abuse as just stuff that happens in relationships. I thought I was strong. I thought I gave as good as I got. I was wrong. He spoke to me like I was nothing. He screamed in my face, called me the worst names you could think of. He told me he hoped I would die. I would wake up knowing he had done things to me while I was asleep without my consent. I even caught him one time. Woke up to him. Yeah. Going into my next relationship, I was broken. So much PTSD. It took a few years, but I got therapy and I'm good now. This is all just context. I have a friend who I was in school with. Let's call her Beth. We drifted apart for years but reconnected because a mutual friend was getting married. Dave and I were breaking up at the time. Beth and I met multiple times in this period. I didn't go into the sexual abuse, but I told her about the verbal abuse from Dave. Cut to a few years later, I'm living in another country and she messages me saying her and Dave have hooked up. She wanted to let me know. I've never been in this situation before. Do I go scorched earth and let her know how much of a sleazy, abusive prick he is? Well, that makes me look like a crazy, jealous ex. There's no good solution here. In the end, I tell her I hate him. I love her, and I want nothing to do with the situation. And this was 3 years ago. I was happy to proceed with the friendship under these circumstances. But now they are engaged and have a child. The child is a deal breaker for me. I can deal with so much shit, but I cannot deal with her talking about my ex's child. I could pretend he didn't exist before, but a baby is a different matter. She messaged me recently wishing me a happy birthday, and I replied but didn't ask about the kid. I really love her, but I categorically do not want anything to do with my ex. I could separate my friend and him before, but a child is a different story. I'm not maternal, but I understand the mommy stuff. She will be a mom above all, and if I see her again, the baby will most likely be there. I don't want to see the baby. I don't want anything to do with my ex's child. I don't live in that county anymore, so it's easy to avoid them. But I'm home this year for a mutual friend's wedding, and they will be there. I don't know how I'm going to deal with seeing them. I don't ever want to see my ex again. I'm getting anxiety even thinking about it, and it's months away. But more to the point, I don't know what to say to her. Again, I love her, but I don't want to be all fake and pretending to be happy about her having a child with my ex. Or having to interact with the child they have. It's just weird. And it's not the child's fault, which makes me feel worse. I'm walking on eggshells with this situation. Do I just tell her how I feel, or do I just try and avoid her? Damn, that sounds like a tough situation to be in. It sucks when your friend ends up with your abusive ex, especially when there's a child involved now. I get why you wouldn't want anything to do with your ex or the baby, but maybe it's worth having an honest conversation with your friend. Let her know how you feel and see if you can come to some understanding or compromise. Avoiding her might give you temporary relief, but it's not a long-term solution. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.